Alright everybody, welcome back to another battle report. This is Oticus, and here we have the Conquest of the Stornlands campaign. It's showing the progress of our group. We're on turn 4 right now. Turns 1 through 3 went in one go before we started having battles. This is just kind of showing you the progress. This battle report is 1250 points of Spires versus the 100 Kingdoms, and we are using Scenario 2 in the rulebook, which are the 4 objectives you see here. The table has been stretched to be a 6 foot by 4 foot table because that is what we prefer playing on. So without further ado, let's check out the table. Alright, beginning of game. 100 Kingdoms, we're rolling to see if the light unit comes in. They do. And Spires have 3. This is a big issue in this list. I only have 1 light versus his 3. So he's bringing 2 of his lights in to my 1. Initiative roll. Spires are coming in on a 6. 100 Kingdoms are coming on a 6. Spires are coming in on a 2. So I actually want him to go first to see where he's going to go. So I just deploy my Imperial Officer who's not on the table. So he's done. So Force-grown drones will go next. And he's going to bring them in from the table edge. Scott actually will set them up on the table and move them, but you measure from the back of the table edge, not the front of the unit when you're bringing them on. You can see here we have a river feature that actually counts as water, so it will reduce your clash by 1 if your troops are in it. It can also count as hindering, so that could actually play a role in this game. Then we have a lot of hills, and we have that scree land, which is hindering terrain. So 100 Kingdoms will go next. They're going to deploy crossbows. This is blunder number 1 on my part, because the Imperial officer that's with them is a medium stin, and he can score. But he's nowhere near the objective, so he's not giving me a point at all. And so I would consider that a major blunder, actually. Player skill matters in these games, and I just denied myself a point. Scott's going to finish up with Spires. He's going to move his second unit of Force-grown drones up along the river, and that will be turn 1. So beginning game, things go pretty quick. And we're going to end turn 1 at 0-0 still. Alright, so turn 2. Scott's rolling for his guys. He's got his 1 light and 2 mediums. His light unit comes on, and a medium unit's going to come on. 100 Kingdoms have medium units to try to bring on now. And nothing is coming in, so this is going to hurt right here. The Spires are going to have a good foothold on their table. And 100 Kingdoms, So 100 Kingdoms lost the initiative roll there intentionally. And we're going to make Scott go first again. So here again, the Spires are going to have a good foothold on this table. And there's only the crossbows for the 100 Kingdoms. And how that can impact the game. Obviously, if the crossbows aren't moving forward, which they're not, the Spires are going to get to push forward. They're going to be able to be more aggressive. They also have those marksman clones. And those marksman clones give him range superiority in this game because they outdistance the crossbows by quite a bit. And volume of fire quite a bit. Which is going to force me to be aggressive. So the Pharaohmancer and his Force-grown drones come on. These guys do not have a catabolic node. The Force-grown drones on either flank of his do have catabolic nodes. And the catabolic node, it can explode. So the first time that unit performs a clash action, it will explode. But that center unit does not have that. Now that Pharaohmancer is key. If you have to headhunt those guys, because otherwise any little bit of damage I can start doing to him, he'll just heal it. So Imperial Officer goes and uses his Bastion draw event to boost up my crossbows defense. So Force-grown drones on my left flank, they're going to start pushing into the river. And because they're light, they are not able to actually score. to go getting on the hill. So my the 100 Kingdoms army, with only the crossbowmen, they're going to activate. Surprise. They're wheeling, and they're going to go ahead and try to fire at that force-grown drone unit. I use my arc template there. I've had that since the old Warhammer days. So I need 1s and 2s. These are 6 shots because I'm at range. And we got 2 hits. And 2 hits, and I forget to use my leader reroll as well. So we'll call that minor blunder. And so now Scott's going to make a defensive roll 2. He needs a 1. He fails 2. So 2 force-grown drones take crossbow bolts and die. Alright. So accelerated hibernation on the Ferromancer. Surprise. He's going to put a force-grown drone unit at the bottom of the deck. And he's going to heal. So this part can get frustrating. So he rolls 2, and both those guys that I killed, they're back. You have to headhunt characters, especially healing characters. If you do not headhunt them, if you do not have a way to deal with characters, you're kind of like you're slapping at the air. So the marksman clones come onto the table, and they are medium units, so yeah, they will be scoring. Notice turn 2 I did another major blunder. I didn't correct my officer not scoring. He still didn't score, so that's 2 turns in a row. I've denied myself 2 points. And the marksman clones should be scoring at the end of this turn. They're going to put the spires up. Now the high clone goes. He doesn't really do anything. And then that should just leave force-grown drones on the other side of the flank, so they're gonna push up. And there is the Arc of Wheeling. I love that tool. That tool has gotten probably the most use of any wargaming tool I've ever owned in 20 odd years. And I'll tell you what, I am super happy to be able to use it again. That thing's been sitting on a shelf for like 5 years. Alright. Force-grown drones up into the river. So they are moving forward. It'll be 1-0 Spires. Alright. Turn 3. Trying to bring in my 3 mediums on a 3. Alright, I got 200 Kingdoms units coming in. And Steel Legion's also coming in. There's my heavy on a 5. Awesome. So I've got 3 units moving on. And neither medium or heavy unit for the Spires are coming on. So fortune kind of reversed itself there. Turn 3, initiative roll. Spires are going first. Up 1-0. Be aware we are using secondary objectives in this game. We each have 3 cards drawn. And as those get scored, that should reflect in the scoreboard. Imperial Officer goes. He's bastioning. And for those who haven't played, Bastion's going to give that unit he's with +1 defense. Actually, Scott did the same thing with his high clone executor. He gave those marksman clones +1 to their defense. So here comes the clones. These guys have a catabolic node, so these guys can blow up. Now at this juncture, Scott's up by a point, which means I have to be aggressive at this point. I can't win if I don't find a way to score more points. And the only way to score more points is to get on his side of the table. So my knights are coming in on the flank now. I've got to get on his side of the table to try to score 2 points from his objective. You get 1 point for your objectives in the back, 2 for his. You only ever can max out at 1 point on your side. But you can get 2 points for each of those objectives on the opposite side. As he's getting in the knight's face. And these guys explode as well as the guys on the right. So he's going to stall those knights out, which is pretty good, pretty smart. Right there, he actually did an illegal move, which he'll take back. He moved that back rank of guys too far up, so we moved them back. They can't exceed their movement value, which was that was more than 10 inches. All right, men at arms. My medium unit comes on, and they're going to be grabbing my backline objective, so I'll get to score a point. Ferromancer accelerated hibernation, but nothing is hurt yet, so I've made him useless this turn by not having something to kill, or to raise back up. So here come the crossbows. They're activating next. They're going to reform to face the drones in front of them, and they're going to open fire on them. I need 1s and 2s. Yeah, look at that, 4 hits. And again, I forgot to reroll my leader. It's the little details, guys. It's the little details. You got to remember those things. All right, so 3 of those guys die, and the Ferromancer already went, so he can't heal them this turn. So I feel like I've done something at this point. And I am playing the 100 Kingdoms army. That's why I'm referring to that as me in the first person. All right, force-grown drones pushing forward. Spires again are being controlled by Scott Nethery, who is one of our players in Louisville Wargaming. He is a good player. He does not make a lot of mistakes. All right, his line is moving forward. So now the Water Mage will go. She has the ability to heal as well, but she has nothing to heal. Okay, Marksman clones are going to go next. Now these guys have a 28-inch range, and even at long range are going to have 12 shots. And that's in comparison to my crossbows, which at long range only have 6 shots and only at 20 inches. So those crossbows are about to get hit with some arrows. Scott's rolling to hit. And he aims, so he needs 3s. He does have a leader, and I reminded him to reroll. I can't remember myself to reroll, but I will make sure my opponent rerolls. 5 hits on the crossbows. So they have a defense of 2 right now. They're normally 1, but they've been bastioned, so they have a 2. And it looks like a really bad roll. 3 guys die. So there they go. And range attacks in Conquest do not suffer morale at all. So there's no morale rolls that need to be made. So my Noble Lord goes. He has nothing. And so now we have Steel Legion. So Scott's finished. He's activated everything. So Steel Legion, that's my heavy unit. They're on the right flank. So now we have a heavy right flank on the table. And we're getting ready to move into the next turn. We've both scored, I believe, a point. So turn 4. It's 2-1. Medium roll for Scott. Oh, his medium's automatically coming on turn 4, but his heavy does not come in. So it looks like the brute drones will be on the table. And initiative, Spires going first. 2-1. They are blocking my progress over to their objectives. They're going first. So the force-grown drones are going to charge the knights. Now that's very smart because the knights are more powerful when they themselves get to charge. I'm not going to have impact hits now. Additionally, that catabolic node is going to go off. And when that catabolic node is going to go off, he's going to have a chance to do a whole bunch of damage to me. So in this case, for him, this is perfect. He's got a chafe unit, which is usually not that good, and he's going to get to stall me. So he only rolled a 4 and a 1, so he did 5 hits on that bomb. That was a really bad roll. So he's going to take 4 of those hits. I'm going to take 5. So I failed 2 of those. I failed 2 of those defense rolls, and I'm sorry you can't really see the dice very well with the light, the way they're glinting. But I did lose. I did take 2 wounds on my knights, and now Scott has to roll 4 dice because he blew up. So they should have a defense of 1. So all 4 of those failed. So he did actually take the standoff prematurely, but in this case it happened to work itself out. So he blew up a whole stand +1. And what's left is now going to clash with their spears onto my knights. And they will have a clash of 2 because they charged. Give them +1. So he did 2 hits to me. And I failed both of my armor saves because that's just how it works. Oh, sorry. Those are my 2 failed resolve rolls. And then he was rolling resolve. So we both just rolled resolve. I failed 2 resolve rolls. So that guy ran away. And what you just saw leave his was all his failed resolve rolls. So anytime you take any damage at all except for volley shots, you have to make resolve rolls. And if you fail those resolve rolls, those guys run away. Alright, so he's got 7 guys left with Clash 2. Sometimes there just gets to be a lot of series of rolls, and trying to keep everything going in your head can be a little bit fuzzy a few days after that fact. Alright. So 1s and 2s. 2 hits. Defense 4, 2 hits. Now these are also going to be prone to resolve if I fail. But I make both of them. So they have defense 3, but they have shield, so attacks to the front, I have a defense of 4. Some of the pauses you'll see, this is actually a demo going on. There's a few people around the table we're talking back and forth to. Alright, Household Knights. I got 2 Knights and the Noble Lord. So I would anticipate that this Force-Grown Drone unit will be wiped out when we're done. But they've already done some damage. Look, they've already took out a knight. So this should be 8 attacks from the knights, and I believe, or 10 attacks from the knights because they have fury, and 6 attacks from the noble lord. So the black dice will need 1, 2, or 3, and the white dice need 1, 2, 3, or 4. So I missed a whole bunch there. We did 6 hits total with no cleave. This is where the knights kind of get stalled. They have no cleave. So if they're not charging, they don't have the brutal impact too. And no cleave can kind of hurt. And after all those attacks, Scott fails 2 armor rolls. But 2 more runs, so it does take a stand away. But keep in mind, there's a Ferromancer back there who can raise all that stuff back if you don't kill them all. Alright, Household Knights are done. What do we have over here? What's Scott revealing? Force-grown drones. Alright, so these guys on his right are on my right flank. Looks like he really wants to try to get at those crossbows. So at this point, I would call this move he's about to do a minor blunder on his part. He kind of jumps up in my face, but it doesn't really serve a purpose other than to give my men-at-arms a free flank charge that they can't fail. Alright, so the men-at-arms go next in my deck. So they see that flank, and they're like, sure, guys, you're going to give that to me. I don't even have to roll that one. We're already in there. Boom. So that's a water mage in that unit, so she's got 1 attack to contribute. Now, when you're flanked in this, basically what you're going to get is any successful resolve rolls you make, you have to reroll. So in that case, look at that; those are all hits. So that's some good dice luck right there. So they're on defense 1 in the flank, and then let's see what Scott can pull off. No, we're going to pretty much shred that unit. So I don't even think there are resolve rolls in that case. They just explode in a mist. I did get a point from that for one of my secondary objectives. It was to destroy an entire enemy regiment on the charge. So 2 to 2 now from that secondary objective. So secondary objectives are cool in that they give you extra ways to score points, up to 3. Here comes the Ferromancer. He is going to heal. So he's going to heal a drone unit. And he's going to chuck. A 6. Yay. So he did 6 wounds back. So all that work I did, and another stand and 2 guys show up. So all those broken bodies just stand themselves back up. They don't want to fight. They look terrified, but the pheromones floating across the battlefield compel them to. These guys were grown in a vat, and they are totally under the power of the Pheromancer. You break their bodies, that's okay. They're going to keep on walking with 2 broken legs. So the mage goes, and she seeks new escort with the Steel Legion. I want to give them the healing ability. Clone Executor goes to Bastion. Now we're on my Imperial Officer, and my Imperial Officer seeks a new escort in the Men-at-Arms. The idea was to give them Bastion, but they already have a seasoned veteran, which gives them Bastion. So I would call that a minor blunder on my part, moving the Imperial Officer. I've done a lot of blunders up to this point. So that's the fact that it's 2-2 surprises me. So the marksmen, they go ahead and unload. And they do a whole bunch of hits. 9 hits. Nine hits. And he does 2 wounds total, because looks like he's attacking the knight, so I'm a 4 up. So he's plinking him away. Crossbows are going to take a shot. 6 shots. And I hit twice. 3 hits. And the Pheromancer's got to keep working for his money. Got to keep dropping some drones. So I'll drop 3 more drones. Those poor drones just keep dying and coming back. So that's his kind of HQ unit for the moment. But he does have the Avatar Projectia artifact, or mutation, which is going to let him move into the Brute unit back there. Now that Brute unit coming in, they're medium, so they can contest. But you can only get 1 point from one of your objectives. That right there is what I consider a king unit. That is his main unit on the table. It's got the most wounds. It's got the most damage potential. It's nasty. So his king is on the table. So my men-at-arms will come in on the flank. That gives me about 3 inches extra movement forward. I need to really, really push aggressively to get that flank, which is only guarded by marksman clones right now. All right, Force-grown drones. And they're going to push forward. So they are moving up. Okay, that's the end of turn 4. And we're going to go to 3-3. 3-3 because we both claimed our own objective. That secondary objective's keeping me in the game, but Scott's got 3 of them too. Oh. All right. So just kind of taking a look at the entire battlefield. Those dice up there are the score, 3-3. I got an overwhelmed secondary objective, which means I have more men on the battlefield than he did. So 4-3. So I'm winning by 1. And there we have initiative. And Scott forces a reroll. We tied. And so it looks like 100 Kingdoms are going first. Okay. So turn 5. 4-3. Household Knights are going to start off. Let's see if we can kill the force-grown drones in front of them right now. The cavalry's been mired by the infantry. And they're stalling my advance over to the other side of the table. First person in this to reach 8 points wins the game. Or 10 turns, whichever comes first. All right. Hitting on 3s. Looks like, and there's the Noble Lord. Hitting on 4s. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. A fairly bad roll. That's 7 hits this time. And he's on 2s because he's got shields. He's got defense of 1 plus shield is a 2. He saves 1. So 6 force-grown drones are going to die to the blade, and 6 are going to have to make resolve rolls now with a morale of 1. So 5 more run. That's 11 total. And that takes care of that unit. But they did their job. So the knights they've lost 1, and they've got the other one down to 2 wounds. That unit's definitely not full effect. The question is, can I get up there on that left flank? Can I get that objective? Ferromancer. The Ferromancer is going to go ahead and heal. So he's going to heal the force-grown drones. And they've only lost like 2 or 3, so Scott's been rolling on fire. So he rolls another 6. It doesn't matter. So they're at full strength again, so my crossbowmen are kind of like, we kill them and they keep standing back up. But the Ferromancer moves back into the brute drones now, so he's really hard to kill. Men-at-Arms move forward. I've got to keep that Imperial Officer near my objective so that I can keep scoring that point. And I got to get Steel Legion up there to try to take care of those brutes. Alright, Marksman Clones, my favorite things ever to face. Let's see what he's doing with those. And they're shooting at the knights. Surprise, surprise. 12 shots. Because they are at range. Now he's thinking. Nope, 12 shots. Okay, 3s to hit because he's aiming. And they're volley 2 normally, so they're volley 3 for this because they aimed. And leader reroll. Missed anyway. He did knock one of those to a 6, but that was a hit. So 8. 8 knights on a 4. What did we get? So I took 3 more out of those 8. I failed. So one of the knights dies. He gets pin cushion. The other one takes a wound. And I'm deciding to leave the standard bearer out there because I want the bonus to charging. But there's not much left of that unit. And they're not getting healed. So Men-at-Arms, their goal in life is to push forward to that hill. Force-grown drones moving up. And let's see where he's going to go. He is going to try to charge the Men-at-Arms because he wants to blow up. They're 10 inches away. They have a movement of 5, so he needs to roll a 5 on the charge. So let's see if he can do a 5. No, he rolls a 2. So he gets to move forward 2 inches. And because he failed the charge, he can't declare another charge. So he can move again, which he's going to do. But at least he didn't get to charge forward. And that should present an interesting shape on the battlefield. So he's going to go ahead and move forward now. He's going to continue his movement up. So he is just sending these force-grown drones forward to their death to whittle me away. The real damage dealers are in the back. Those brute drones, evil nasty. Those marksman clones, they've been plinking away at my knights. So even though they failed the charge, they do get another action and they can move. So they failed the charge and moved. Juicy, juicy, juicy. Gonna have some more battle going on here, it looks like. Alright, the officer goes. I say he gives them Bastion, and then I go, oh, that's useless. Now those men-at-arms have already gone, so they're not charging anything. So at this point, I actually ask if I can take. I'm going to move that officer into the crossbow unit again, so that his Bastion event actually does something. And the Executor goes and gives the Marksman Bastion. So the crossbows, the 9 crossbows that are left, I'm going to back those crossbows up, and this is where Looks like some of the video cut out. So I can use this moment real quick to essentially just discuss how urgent at this point it is for the 100 Kingdoms to try to get across the board and score to make up for those lost points. Now we're up 4-3, but Scott's still got 3 secondary objectives he can score. I've got 1 more, but that one for me it required a volley to destroy a unit, which my crossbowmen weren't really doing very well. So got to get aggressive and try to nag those 2 points, or it's gonna be a hard day. So the crossbows didn't do very much. They took out a few more of his guys. As you can see, there's some missing spaces there. Steel Legion in this case, you see where we're going. I don't know where the Abomination's coming in yet. I'm gonna focus on those brute drones. So Steel Legion goes ahead and directs there. Now Abomination, he's gonna secure that left flank. And Abomination's an evil thing. 10-inch movement, so it has a 20-inch range. Does all kinds of can do all kinds of damage, but it's only got 10 wounds. So it is very dangerous. You've got a marksman unit and an abomination over there, both dangerous units. I'm gonna have to deal with this. Scott in this case performs a blunder on his part. He's actually gonna march that abomination up a little too far. So when you got a 10 movement, you should be getting the charge on anything you want. You don't need to actually move this creature this close to those men-at-arms, because now he wanted to get him out of the water. He didn't want him to lose his clash, and he would have been hindered as well, so he wouldn't have gotten any bonuses. So anyhow, they're really close to men-at-arms. Force-grown drones go. Nothing happens there. We're going to score, move into turn 6. So we're both grabbing a point and moving into turn 6. I think Scott scores both of his secondary objectives, so he's now up 6-5. So being up 6-5, I won initiative. And the men-at-arms are going to charge that abomination. They take advantage of the abomination being so close. And they didn't even have to roll. They were already right in there. So men-at-arms, they got to do some damage here. So they're going off a Clash 3 now with the charge bonus, the Inspire. And I remember to reroll with my leader. Alright, 7 hits. Abomination's defense 3. So he's going to shrug half these off. So I'm expecting 3 or 4. I would like 4. But 3 would be acceptable. But he rolled 5. 5 wounds. 5 resolve rolls now have to be made. He's taken half his wounds now. That was amazing. And see if I can get lucky. But he's got a 4. So in this case, he only fails 1 more. So the men-at-arms do 6 of the 10 wounds. That's pretty good. Now the abomination's going to likely go next, and those men-at-arms are going to have a bad day. Oh, look at that. The abomination goes. We're all surprised. 10 attacks. Now he's not getting his impact hits because he didn't charge. Good. He's got flurry, which means he re-rolls all of his misses. Additionally, he's terrifying, which means my resolve is -1. So any damage he does, there's a greater chance I'm going to run away. So this is 10 attacks, cleave 1, terrifying. This is going to hurt. So he's picking up his misses. He didn't miss very much. Looks like he's gonna snag 8. All right, 8 hits, and those men-at-arms should be defense 4. They're 2 normally, +1 with the shield, +1 with the bastion from the seasoned veteran. So they're down to a 3, a 50-50. And actually, I made a mistake there because I was 1 point off. I assumed they had defense 3. So I just took 6 damage there. Alright. 10 men-at-arms die, leaving 2. So those 2 brave men-at-arms standing in front of the, the abomination. There's an epic action shot for you. Another blunder in that the men-at-arms had 1 point extra defense that wasn't applied there. Alright, Imperial Officer goes, he grants Bastion. And force-grown drones. So they are going to get a flank charge on my men-at-arms there. So 2 flank attacks so far in this game. That was probably a bad deck stack on my part, making the Imperial Officer go before the men-at-arms. I had a good shot at getting their flank, because that could have drawn those brutes forward. This unit did not have bomb, so they don't explode. So they're going to get 15 attacks into my flank. I haven't activated yet, so they don't get their bastion. So they are flat defense 2 right now. Alright, so we have like 14 odd attacks. Oh, nice. We've got 6 hits. 6 hits into the men-at-arms, defense 2. So I should probably take about 4 wounds here. 3 die. So that's a pretty good roll. So 3 die, 3 resolve, and 2 more will run. So 5 men-at-arms are gonna run or die. Now he's opened his flank to me. So now the men-at-arms activate, and I'm not gonna reform them. I'm just gonna let them fight to the flank there. It's not worth the extra attack. It's not worth the wounds I'm gonna take from doing the fighting withdrawal, or excuse me, the reform. So inspiring on a 3, and a leader reroll. So 3 hits. Fighting those men-at-arms, fighting a desperate battle to their flank. Alright, drop 2. And another one runs. So 3 force-grown drones are going to either fall to the ground or run off. Not to worry, the Ferromancer is still there. We know what the Ferromancer does. Alright, brute drones. He's going to do something interesting right here. He's not going to press an attack. He's actually going to retreat. I'm not sure how I feel about that as terms of move, because his marksmen are still claiming that objective. They don't actually need the brutes to be there. If the brutes would have charged the Steel Legion, they would have really bloodied their face. But he's playing more conservatively, so he's going to pull back and he's going to make me charge. Which kind of gives me some hope, because if I can get on the charge and get an attack off, that will give me a shot at that back objective. You see, I'm down by a point, and he's only 2 points away from winning. So the knights slam into the abomination. They moved and charged, so they don't get the clash, but they do get their impact hits. And the Noble Lord has the lance that gives him brutal impact too. So they're at -2 to defense right now. Or sorry, the abomination will be at -2, assuming I can roll some hits. Looks like I get 3 hits there. And he's a standard bearer, not a leader, the other character, so there's no reroll. So 3 hits, -2, so he's at a 1 defense. He takes 3 wounds. He's only got 1 left, so he's got to do 3 resolve rolls. He's just got to fail 1. And he does. So the abomination turns around and shambles off the table with this high-pitched little whining noise he makes. I got that from the short story Nepenthe. Those abominations are prisons. And the person inside the prison doesn't really want to fight, and they make this whining noise. Horrifying, horrifying creature. Alright. So the Ferromancer was going to try to heal the marksman. They didn't take damage, so wasted for him. Crosswomen have a nice little flank charge there. This is where the crossmen are actually going to maybe do more damage in hand-to-hand with their little knives, right? Than they do with their crossbows. All right. So they're awesome clash of 1. Charging will give him a 2. But the officer's with him and he can fight a little bit better. So yeah, 4 hits though. So I didn't really get too much out of that. But they do manage to kill 4, so 4 resolve rolls. And they're going to be able to resolve 2 because of the extra rank they've got, or that 4th stand. So, but he's got to reroll because he's in the flank. He had to reroll the successes, so he lost 7 guys. So that force-grown drone unit is starting to be whittled. That ultimately serves me nothing because I can't score points off of removing them, and those objectives I need in the back I'm not anywhere closer to claiming them. And time's running out. So the high clone's going. He's going to grant them Bastion. He's looking for line of sight because he's getting ready to light those knights up with the marksman. So Steel Legion's going to go. Steel Legion's going to wheel. I'm trying to prepare to get a charge. He's retreated. He's kept Steel Legion out of the game. So it's not horrible what he's done. It's not horrible by retreating. If you can negate my heavy units, it's the same as them not even being on the table, right? So, all right, marksman clones. They've got to do 2 wounds. That's it. 2 wounds. I'm hoping Scott rolls bad. He's got like 28 shots coming. 24 marksman clone shots and 4 biotic hive shots. And the sound of all those dice rolling. Boom. He did roll a lot of 5s and 6s, but the high clone's the red ones. He needs a 4. So it's a lot of hits. So I have to make pretty much all of these saves. So in the realm of statistical probability, this is more of a for fun thing because we know that I'm not going to make that many armor rolls. So they're on a 3 right now because we don't get our shields. So 50-50 shot, and I'm dead. So the knights are destroyed. Noble Lord runs off. Chapter Mage goes, doesn't do anything. And that'll end turn 6. So what do we got now? We're going to score. So it is now 7-6. And he is 1 point away from winning. So that makes turn 7 game match. This will end the game more than likely. So it's been a pretty evenly contested, in terms of the score anyway. I need to go first, and I do. So the only thing I can really do is get Steel Legion to charge those guys. Punch enough of them down to try to claim that objective. I need a 3 to get the charge off. And I got a 6. Now the odds of this being successful are slim to me to actually drop enough of these guys. Standing in the river like that, I'm at -1 clash, so that offsets the Inspire I get. So there I on a 3. And if only I had gotten the Inspire. Look at all those 4s. I reroll 1 for the leader, but still. So, but the mage hits. So that white one, that's the mage. So that's all that mattered, right? So the mage hits. That's not going to be enough hits, more than likely. But he's at -2 to his save, so he's got a defense of 1, except for one of them will be a defense 3. That's the mage. She doesn't hurt you. So he takes 6 wounds, and now he's going to do 6 resolve rolls. He's got like a clash of, or he's going to have resolve of 4 because of the rank. They're normally resolve 3, but they have the number of stands. So he fails 2 more. That's not enough. He takes 8 wounds, which is 2 brutes. That ties us right now for that objective. But they haven't gone yet, so when the brutes go, it's probably going to tell a different story. And oh look, the brutes are going. So these guys have flurry, so they're going to have a high amount of hits coming my way. They're all normal hits. So there's no cleave to them, but you know, there's something to be said about weight of dice. If you can do enough hits, I'm going to fail enough armor saves where it's going to hurt. All right. All right, here comes the flurry. So he gets to re-roll. The Ferromancer doesn't re-roll. Ferromancer misses both of his shots, but you know the Ferromancer's not really there to fight, so he's re-rolling all his misses. 12 hits. 12 hits on a 1, 2, or 3. I should take 6 wounds here. Yep, 6 failed, so there's statistical probability, the magic of math, and there it was. So that's going to take off, and then of course we roll resolve. And then more guys run, so that's 5 out of 6 resolve rolls failed. So 11 Steel Legion are gone from that one attack. So I did 8. I did 8 total to him, or yeah, 8, 10. He did 11 back. So we were both pretty evenly matched there. At that point, the rest of the game was just kind of fiddling around, but Scott would grab those 8 points. So the Spires claim the win. Weren't able to blitz that last objective, so that border skirmish goes to the Spires. Unfortunately, as you see here, when we filmed our exit interview, the microphone was off. So I'm going to explain kind of what we're talking about. The difference in this game was that we were using secondary objectives, and we're kind of talking about how the secondary objectives impacted the game or made the game feel a little bit different. You had these items that you could score, which is cool. They'd have clarified on the Discord that these are items that we can pick, so you can pick the 3 you want. I don't have an opinion on that one yet, because I have a feeling that players are just going to pick the same basic 3 over and again. But we'll see. You know, who knows? Other than that, so they won 8-6. Scott won 8-6, and I'm going to do a statistical analysis series coming up, and I'll be doing this game in particular after we talk about how the stats come out. But the Spires definitely had a moderate edge in terms of army list power, but there were plenty of opportunities for me to not do as bad. I gave up 2 points in the beginning of the game, and see how that played out. I could have won that game. So the moral of the story is, you know, you got to play the game out too. And in this case, it was a pretty close game throughout. It was a lot of fun, and Scott's always a good guy to play. So I look forward to the next set of videos. We'll see you guys around. If you have any comments, leave them below, and I'll see you later.